Welcome on this briefing related to planning minima for destination alternate aerodrome. So starting off with the probable ETA, and what do we mean by probable ETA? It is a best estimation of our ETA on destination alternate, taking into account an actual or a probable delay trip time to reach the alternate. And from there, we have to consider a time window, meaning plus or minus 1 hour from that probable ETA. For example, we have ETA of our destination Bengaluru airport at 1500 Zulu, the info we get from the flight plan. We already been contacted that there's an official delay of 50 minutes. There is a further anticipated delay of around 10 minutes because we anticipate some weather avoidance. And we have to take into account trip time to reach the alternate, which is around 20 minutes. So from the ETA of arrival at destination, we have to add the trip time, we have to add the official delay. From that time, we have to deduct 1 hour to get the start of our time frame. So in this example, the time frame is from 1510 Zulu till 1720 Zulu. Aircraft company and crew limitations. So that's just to be aware if there's any applicable FCOM limitations, for example, crosswind or tailwind, temperature, QNH, and so on. There may be as well autoland restrictions. For example, if Bengaluru would be the destination alternate, we have to understand the airport elevation. So from the chart, we see that Bengaluru is quite high with an elevation of 3,000 feet. But there's a limitation for autoland in the FCOM, which says that the aircraft can only make autolands below 2,500 feet. In addition, there may be company limitations to the approach. We have to add 50 feet to the DH. And in addition, there may be crew limitations to take into account. For example, a new commander on type, low on experience, may have to add a certain additional visibility to the approach chart. Then we have to carefully study the NOTAMs, of course, the impact on approach capability, runway closures. Example, an ILS may be unserviceable within the time frame. The airport hours of operation is something else to consider, as often secondary airfield may be planned as a destination alternate, and that airport may or may not be open within the time frame that we need to consider. In addition, there is a watch hours document, which is a refining of the operational hours. We may have a discrepancy. For example, the chart may list that the airport is closed on a Sunday, but from the watch hour document, we find a different information that the airport is in fact open 24 hours. So from our dispatch team, we understand that the watch hour document applies and supersedes the airport chart info. So meaning that the airport is actually open and we can consider it as an airport to consider as a destination alternate. So from there, we take a look at our approach chart. We're going to take a look at the airport layout, how many runways are there, how many approach charts are issued, are they being based on the separate navigate, and so on. Taking a deeper look, we have to check flight radar or another application, and also take into account that that may change in function of time as the wind may change. And so we take a look at the TAF and we make our best estimation, which will be the runway in use at that time. Then we have to check the applicable minima. We have to check the runway in use. We have to check the NOTAMs and then take into account the approach chart with the lowest minima. For example, if an ILS and an RNF approach are available, then of course choose the chart with the lowest minima, meaning the ILS chart. In our case, in this example, there's a NOTAM that says the ILS is not working, so we only have an RNP and a VUR approach available for that runway. Taking a look at this specific example, we require a minimum visibility of 1 kilometer and a minimum cloud ceiling of 380 feet. Keep in mind the bold number there, 700 feet, is based on MSL, which is AGL plus airport elevation. But since the cloud base in meter and TAF is expressed in AGL, we have to take into account the 380 feet value there. Then we have to understand the destination alternate minima table. That's a table in function of the company's fuel scheme. In this example, it's the basic fuel scheme with variations, which comes from the EASA website. And we have to understand, are we dealing with a type A or a type B approach? The type A and the type B approach is based on DH below or at or above 250 feet. So if the DH is below 250 feet, we are dealing with the type B approach. If the DH is at or above 250 feet, we are dealing with the type A approach. And in this example, in Tirupati, the ILS runway 26 is not working within our time frame, so only RNP and VOR approach are available. And since the DH of the RNP and the VOR approach are above 250 feet, we can consider them as type A approaches. Also, the VOR approach is based on a VOR and the RNAV is based on GPS, so we have separate nav aids, meaning that bracket 4 applies or row 4 applies, meaning that there are 2 or more usable type A instrument approach operations, each based on the separate navigation aid. So in that case, we have to add 200 feet to our DH, meaning 380 feet plus 200 feet, meaning 580 feet. And our minimum visibility was 1000 meters, so we have to add another 1000 meter, meaning 2000 meter. And we do the same exercise for the VOR approach. So now that we know which minima we need, we have to take a look at the minima we have based on the probable time frame, ETA plus minus 1 hour. And we have to understand which weather applies. So for that, we need to consult this table, which is the application of aerodrome forecasts, TAF and trend to pre-flight planning. So in this practical example, our probable ETA is for Zulu. So then our time frame is from 3 Zulu till 5 Zulu. So we see there tempo till 3 Zulu is 3000, and becoming from 4 Zulu till 6 Zulu, it's 5000 meters visibility. But the 5000 meter visibility according to the chart is not applicable since it's an improvement. So the applicable weather minima is 3000 meter within our time window. What I suggest is to, first of all, write down the time frame of the probable ETA. Be aware of any company crew aircraft limitations. Write down the NOTAMs within the time frame. Verify the probable runway news. Verify the applicable approach chart. Best to write down on the same paper the applicable minima. Then, from that applicable minima, we have to verify if it's a type A or type B approach, verify which row applies, and from the table, we have to add the applicable approach minima to understand which is the minima we need. And then from there, we have to verify the applicable weather minima within the window of the probable ETA and determine if the weather is actually above or below the minima. And then, if the weather is above the minima, great, so we can consider that airport as a destination alternate. But if it's not, then we have to think what are the options, so we can consider a different alternate, best to contact the dispatch team for that, or we can even consider flight without alternate. But of course, additional weather minima will apply and additional fuel will have to be taken on board the aircraft. Remember that this is only pre-flight planning. In flight, the minima required for destination alternate just needs to be above the operational minima. So this planning minima, as explained here, no longer applies. So with all that, I hope to provide a little bit deeper insight. So even though it looks a lot of work, actually, it goes really fast once you're used to it, and it will avoid unpleasant surprises. Thank you for attention. If you have any questions, then feel free to leave a comment.